The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the city streets as Harrison Cole sat in the back of his limousine, staring at the divorce papers spread across the leather seat beside him. At 40 years old, he had everything the world told him to want: a pharmaceutical company worth billions, properties on 3 continents, and a name that opened doors everywhere. What he did not have, as of this morning, was a marriage. His wife of 12 years had finally left, taking nothing but her personal belongings and a quiet dignity that made Harrison feel ashamed of how little he had noticed her slipping away. She had not asked for money or property. She had simply said she was tired of being married to a ghost, to a man who was never truly present, even when he was in the same room. The limo was stopped at a traffic light in a part of the city Harrison rarely visited, a neighborhood of small shops and modest homes where real people lived real lives. He was about to return to his phone when movement outside his window caught his attention. A little girl stood on the sidewalk, no more than 5 years old, with a halo of blonde curls catching the sunlight. She wore a pale blue sweater and held a stuffed white rabbit close to her chest. What struck Harrison most was not her appearance, but her gaze. She was staring directly at him through the tinted window with an intensity that seemed far beyond her years. Harrison watched, curious, as the child took several deliberate steps toward the limousine. She stopped right beside his window, so close he could see the light dusting of freckles across her nose. Then, to his complete astonishment, she pressed her small hand against the glass and leaned forward, her lips nearly touching the window. Her voice was muffled but clear, carrying a weight that made Harrison's breath catch. "You need a wife." "And I need a dad." Harrison sat absolutely still, his mind struggling to process what he had just heard. This child, this complete stranger, had somehow looked through the tinted glass and the expensive car and seen directly into the emptiness of his life. Without thinking, Harrison pressed the button to lower his window. The sounds of the city rushed in, along with the little girl's direct, unwavering stare. "What did you just say?" Harrison asked, his voice gentler than he had used in months. "You need a wife, and I need a dad," the little girl repeated, completely unintimidated by the expensive car or the well-dressed man inside. "I can tell you're sad. You have that look Mommy gets sometimes when she thinks I'm asleep and she's crying in the kitchen." Before Harrison could respond, a woman came running from a nearby pharmacy, her face flushed with panic. She was perhaps 30 years old, with the same golden hair as the child, though hers was pulled back in a practical bun. She wore scrubs decorated with cartoon characters, and her eyes went wide with alarm when she saw her daughter standing beside the limousine. "Mia!" the woman gasped, reaching the child and pulling her back. "What have I told you about talking to strangers?" "I'm so sorry, sir. She got away from me while I was picking up prescriptions. Please forgive us." "There's nothing to forgive," Harrison said, surprised by his own words. He found himself stepping out of the limousine, ignoring his driver's confused expression. "Your daughter was just being observant." The woman held Mia close, her expression wary. "She has a very active imagination." "We didn't mean to bother you." "She said something interesting," Harrison continued, looking down at Mia, who gazed back at him with complete seriousness. "She said I need a wife and she needs a dad." "How did you know that, Mia?" "Because you look lonely," Mia said simply. "And sad. Like you lost something important. And I know I don't have a daddy because Mommy told me mine went to heaven before I was born. So I thought maybe we could help each other." The woman's face went pale, then red. "Mia, sweetheart, you can't just say things like that to people." "I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. Harrison Cole." He extended his hand, and after a moment's hesitation, the woman shook it. "Anna Martinez," she said quietly. "I'm a pediatric nurse at City Hospital. Mia usually stays at the hospital daycare during my shifts, but they're closed today for cleaning, so I had to bring her with me on errands." "She's normally not this forward with strangers." "I'm being helpful," Mia insisted, clutching her rabbit. "You always say we should help people who are sad, Mommy." Harrison felt something crack open inside his chest. He looked at this child with her stuffed rabbit and her honest eyes, at this woman in her cartoon scrubs trying to balance work and motherhood alone, and he made a decision that would have seemed insane to him an hour ago. I was just finalizing my divorce, Harrison said, the words escaping before he could stop them. Signed the papers this morning. My wife left because I forgot how to be present in my own life. So your daughter is right. I do need a wife, or at least I need to remember how to be someone worth being married to. Anna's expression softened with unexpected compassion. I'm sorry. That must be very difficult. What's difficult is realizing she was right to leave, Harrison admitted. I built an empire but forgot to build a life. Your daughter saw that in about 30 seconds. Mia tugged on his jacket. Are you crying? Harrison realized with surprise that his eyes were wet. Maybe a little. It's okay to cry, Mia said seriously. Mommy says crying helps wash away the sad so the happy can grow back. Harrison laughed, a broken sound that turned into something more genuine. Your mother sounds very wise. She is, Mia agreed. She's the smartest person I know, and the nicest. That's why you should marry her. Mia! Anna's voice was horrified. That is not appropriate. Mr. Cole, I'm so sorry. She doesn't understand. She understands more than most adults I know. Harrison interrupted gently. Look, I know this is unconventional, but would you consider having coffee with me? Both of you. There's a cafe right there across the street. I just need to talk to someone real for a little while. Someone who isn't afraid to tell me the truth. Anna stared at him, clearly torn between wariness and something else. Why would you want to have coffee with us? Because your daughter just gave me the most honest assessment of my life that anyone has in years, Harrison said. Because I've spent the morning signing away a marriage I barely showed up for, and I don't want to go home to an empty penthouse and pretend everything is fine. Because maybe I need to remember what authentic human connection looks like. Anna looked down at Mia, who nodded enthusiastically. Please, Mommy. He needs help, and you always help people who need help. Just coffee, Harrison said. Public place. You can leave whenever you want. I promise I'm not dangerous, just lonely and trying to figure out how I got so lost. Anna hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay, just coffee. But I buy my own, and we're not staying long. The cafe was small and warm, filled with the scent of fresh coffee and pastries. Harrison found himself sitting across from Anna and Mia at a scratched wooden table, a far cry from the boardrooms and exclusive restaurants where he usually spent his time. Mia ordered hot chocolate and a cookie, chattering happily about her stuffed rabbit whose name was Snowball. Anna ordered tea, still cautious but gradually relaxing as Harrison asked gentle questions and listened with genuine interest. He learned that Anna's husband had died in Afghanistan before Mia was born, that she had raised her daughter alone while working her way through nursing school. She worked long shifts at the hospital, sometimes picking up extra hours to make ends meet, trying to give Mia everything she needed while never quite feeling like it was enough. She's everything to me, Anna said softly, watching Mia share her cookie with Snowball. Some days I'm so tired I can barely stand, but then she says something or does something that reminds me why every sacrifice is worth it. She's remarkable, Harrison said. The way she looked at me through that window, the way she just knew. I've been surrounded by people all day who tiptoed around my divorce, acting like it was a business transaction. Your daughter was the first person to acknowledge the human cost of it. Anna studied him carefully. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did your marriage end? If you don't mind me asking. Harrison was quiet for a long moment, watching Mia color on a napkin with crayons the waitress had brought. Because I forgot why I got married in the first place. I was so focused on building my company, on proving I could succeed, that I stopped seeing my wife as a person and started seeing her as part of the life I was supposed to have. She deserved better than that. He looked up at Anna. You said you work long hours at the hospital. How do you stay present for Mia when you're exhausted and stretched thin? Because she's my why, Anna said simply. Everything I do for her. That keeps me grounded. What's your why, Harrison? The question hit him like a physical blow. He realized with painful clarity that he had no answer. His company, his success, his wealth, they were all means without an end, motion without purpose. I don't know anymore, he admitted quietly. I think I lost it somewhere along the way. Mia looked up from her coloring. You could borrow our why until you find yours, she offered. We have extra why. Right, Mommy? Anna laughed, tears shining in her eyes. Yes, sweetheart. We have extra why. They talked for over an hour, the conversation flowing easily from topic to topic. Harrison found himself sharing things he had never told anyone. The loneliness of his childhood, the pressure of building a business, the slow realization that success meant nothing without someone to share it with. Anna listened with the same focused attention she probably gave her patients, asking thoughtful questions, offering insights without judgment, and Mia interjected periodically with observations that were simultaneously childlike and profound. When it was time to leave, Harrison walked them to Anna's modest sedan, which was parked behind the pharmacy. He found himself reluctant to say goodbye, to return to the empty limousine and the signed divorce papers waiting inside. "Can I see you again?" Harrison asked. "Both of you. Not a date," he added quickly, seeing Anna's hesitation. "Just friendship. I could use a friend who tells me the truth, and maybe I could be useful to you too. I know people, resources. If you ever need anything for Mia or for yourself." Anna bit her lip. "I don't need charity, Harrison." "It's not charity," he said. "It's connection. Your daughter was right. I need people in my life who see me as a person, not a bank account or a business opportunity. And maybe you could use someone who understands what it's like to carry everything alone." Anna was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, we could be friends. But you have to promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll find your why. Not borrow ours, but find your own. Because you can't build a real life without knowing why you're building it." Harrison felt tears prick his eyes again. "I promise." Over the following months, Harrison became a regular part of Anna and Mia's lives. He showed up for Mia's kindergarten performances, took them to the Children's Museum on weekends, and found himself spending less time at the office and more time learning what it meant to be present. He established a foundation for families of fallen soldiers, ensuring their children had educational opportunities and support. He funded a new pediatric wing at City Hospital, naming it after Anna's late husband. But more importantly, he learned to measure success not in quarterly earnings, but in Mia's laughter and Anna's growing trust. Anna returned to school part-time, pursuing a master's degree in pediatric nursing that Harrison quietly funded through a scholarship program. She resisted at first, but he reminded her that she was giving him something far more valuable, a reason to use his wealth for good, a purpose beyond profit. Mia continued to speak truths that adults were too polite to say, reminding Harrison daily that authenticity mattered more than appearances. She appointed herself his life coach, regularly checking whether he was being present or just pretending. One evening, nearly 18 months after that first encounter outside the limousine, Harrison took Anna and Mia to the park where Mia loved to swing. As the little girl played, Harrison took Anna's hand. "I found my why," he said quietly. "It took a 5-year-old looking through a limousine window to show me what I was missing. But I found it. You and Mia, you're my why, not because I need you to fill my empty life, but because being with you both makes me want to be the person Mia saw that day. Someone worth knowing. Someone capable of real connection." Anna smiled, tears streaming down her face. "We found our why, too. Not someone to rescue us or fix our problems, but someone who sees us, really sees us, and chooses to stay anyway." They were married a year later, with Mia as the flower girl still clutching Snowball the rabbit. And Harrison Cole, who had built an empire alone, finally understood that the greatest success was not in what you accumulated, but in who you became when someone loved you enough to tell you the truth. Sometimes the wisdom we need most comes from the mouths of children who have not yet learned to hide their hearts behind politeness. And sometimes the family we build is more precious than the fortune we earn, worth more than all the empires in the world. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of unexpected wisdom, second chances, and the courage to rebuild a life with authenticity and love. Comment below and tell us about a time when a child's honesty changed your perspective, or when an unexpected encounter led you to discover what really matters. Your story could be the encouragement someone else desperately needs today.